So I haven't finally got around to watching Summerslam late last night. I thought I'd put out this reactions video. Obviously, the first thing in my mind was, are they going to top the NXT special from Brooklyn? And I really don't think they did. I'm not going to say this is a bad show, because it wasn't. But it's kind of sad these days that the measure of a decent show is whether you can kind of sit through the whole thing without feeling the need to kind of skip or rush ahead or anything like that. This was, a 4-hour show, and I think a lot of people were questioning whether they were going to be able to fill it, keep people's interest from start to finish. And like I say, it wasn't a bad show at all. I didn't feel the need to skip too much. I was watching, all of the matches had something about them. But ultimately, I don't know, it didn't feel like a Big Four pay-per-view to me. I think pretty much all of the matches, if I'm not mistaken, we've seen before. And all of the matches as well, we've kind of seen them before, but quite recently as well. I might as well just go into the card here. The opening match really kind of says it all, really. Sheamus versus Randy Orton. I don't know when the WWE are going to finally realise that not many people are into this match. We've seen it a lot of times, and it's never really... It's a match that you see a lot on Raw and SmackDowns. It's not something that always has much importance going into it, unless they're fighting for a title. But you don't see really, a lot of... I can't remember in recent memory anyway, any kind of special stipulations like street fights or steel cage matches or anything like that. It's always just a single match, one-on-one, with no ultimate payoff. I suppose you could say, for the purposes of the kayfabe development of both guys, Sheamus needed to get the win, and he did get the win clean, which doesn't always happen against Randy Orton, so I will give him credit for that. But I don't know, it was just another match between these two that I didn't really care about. I suppose the only good thing about it was that Sheamus was doing his best to kind of work the crowd as a heel. We're going to have to believe him a lot more as a heel character if he's going to be a World Heavyweight Champion soon. So that's the only thing really I've got to say about this match. And the match wasn't bad; it was just kind of there. It was something that I'd seen before so many times. A much better way to sort of get the crowd involved and to get me involved was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. I wasn't really that excited because we'd seen something like this on the last few Raws. It might not involve all 4 teams, but you've seen the combination of these teams together quite a lot recently. So it's not something that's going to catch you off by surprise. There was no special additions to the match. Some people were hoping that maybe Cass and Enzo Amore would be added in. But no, it was just an extended kind of 1-hour main event match on Raw for me. The New Day, by far are the most entertaining team that the company's got at the moment. I like the primetime players, but just in terms of just sort of grabbing the crowd's reaction and get people ready for a match, I think the New Day have got great psychology. Xavier Woods, I'm fine with him being the kind of mouthpiece. I'm not saying he's bad in the ring, but his talents are clearly on the mic and sort of engaging with people in the audience, whereas Kofi and Big E are the ones where the wrestling talent should really be emphasised more than their speaking talent. It was a decent match, but again, it was something that you'd seen and you expected to see. The Matadores and the Lucha Dragons got some nice spots in, but it was just nothing new. I'm happy that the New Day won their titles back, and I want to see now just the New Day and primetime players go at it one-on-one. It's about time we had that properly without all the interference from outside. And obviously, with Raw last week, the Dudley Boys coming back, it's going to be interesting to see. It looks like they're going to throw the Dudleys straight at the New Day, which I'm fine with. Again, it's something different, injecting something new into the division, and keeping it fresh. But the match I thought was a good way to kick off the show. I think this would have been a better opener than Sheamus Orton, to be honest. I kind of felt like Sheamus Orton should have just been buried somewhere in the mid card. A decent match, but again, we've seen it all before. Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. To be honest, I found this really confusing. I found the feud itself quite confusing. I appreciate that there's some story going into this, mainly around Rusev and Lana as opposed to Ziggler and Summer Rae. But this goes back to WrestleMania 30. The whole debate about whether was it Lana's fault that Rusev lost his streak to John Cena. But then even if it was, think about all the things that Lana had done for Rusev's career and the build up to that. So there was history there. There's animosity between the two, which is fine. But the dynamics of this storyline are just a bit weird, a bit confusing. I mean, going back, Rusev kind of got heavy-handed with Lana and got jealous of her being so popular with the crowd. Lana, of her own volition, decided that enough's enough. I'm going to leave this little team that we've got and go after somebody else or try and make it on my own, and that's fine. But the way that she's acting, sort of bringing out Dolph, and the fact that she's got this little feud going with Summer Rae, it's like, what does Lana actually care about? I thought she just kind of left Rusev. Does she want him back? Is she still into him? Same with Rusev, really. I mean, I think they're trying to portray it as Rusev kind of being jealous and wanting Lana back, but not wanting to admit it. But then again in the match, I remember when Rusev had Dolph in a submission hold and Lana and Summer Rae had a bit of a fight outside, and Summer Rae got hit to the ground. And why did Rusev break the hold? I thought Rusev was being portrayed as the guy who was just using Summer Rae, didn't really care about it that much, just as a way to kind of get himself back up. So yeah, that made no sense. It would have made more sense if it was the other way around. Maybe Dolph having Rusev in a sleeper, looking like he was going to win, and then Lana getting knocked down by Summer Rae. That would make sense for Dolph to break the hold and maybe for that to cost him the match. But it's the whole thing about this. I don't get it. I don't get who's into who and who's jealous of who and who wants who back. I don't think they've really thought about it that much. Ending in a double count out, I understand people are a bit pissed off by that. You always want to get good clean finishes in these big 4 pay-per-views, but it was a good way to protect Dolph because he's only just come back from injury, so you don't want him losing straight away. But also, I don't think people would really believe Dolph beating Rusev. You want to keep Rusev going the way that you're going. I think they're doing a really good job with him, apart from this kind of weird storyline that he's in at the moment. But he's made to look strong and consistent, and I think again this is what needed to happen tonight. The next match, Stephen Amell and Neville defeated Stardust and the Cosmic King Wade Barrett. I mean, this match was always just going to be about embracing the kind of celebrity endorsement. We weren't expecting a great in-ring classic. Stephen Amell held his own. He didn't do much, but he didn't have to. He got thrown around the ring by the two of them for a while. Neville ultimately came out and I suppose it was a good position for Neville on the card. He's still establishing himself a little bit. You could tell that the WWE machine like him and want to get behind him, but he's not quite there yet with his character. So this is just kind of keeping him relevant, I guess. And I've got no problems with it. Obviously, you knew that the celebrity team was going to go over. No problems with that again. I really admire what Stardust is doing. I mean, I've been a fan of Cody Rhodes since his days in Legacy, but kind of since splitting up from that team, I've really seen what he can do. He's had different characters given to him, and he's always taken it and got himself slightly over with each character. And I think Stardust, whilst ultimately I would like to see Cody go back to being Cody Rhodes, I think Stardust at the moment, there's nothing wrong with it. People seem to be kind of into it, and I've kind of liked the whole build up to this match in particular. With like the cartoon sort of comic book angle. I think that works. I think that was quite good. But yeah, a decent enough match. Wasn't expecting brilliant in-ring action, but what should have happened. Oh god, the next match I wasn't looking forward to. It was the least match I was looking forward to in the whole card. Ryback defended his title against Big Show and Miz. You don't really need to say any more than that, to be honest. It wasn't great. This next match pissed me off in so many different ways. We had Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose versus the Wyatt family, minus Eric Rowan. It's from the start. It's just felt ever since they've inserted Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose into this, it's kind of felt like they're just trying to recapture the magic of the Shield versus the Wyatt family in a couple of years ago. But you're never going to get that again. That was just sort of a magical feud, sort of a good combination of two teams with three guys in it that just seemed to lend itself quite well to a storyline. This is just a really sort of poor man's version of that feud from last year and the year before. First of all, what I'd say is, when are people going to give up the whole Roman Reigns booing thing? I mean, I know it's in New York and it's, like a smart kind of crowd, but I mean, what annoys me is the people that are booing him are the same people probably that have a problem with John Cena being at the top of the company for so long. And whether they like it or not, if there's anyone that's realistically going to take Cena's position at the moment, it's not going to be Dean Ambrose, it's not going to be Dolph Ziggler, it's not going to be Cesaro or Kevin Owens. Roman Reigns is ultimately who they want to go for, and you just all this is doing is kind of holding him back and just allowing Cena a few more years at the top. Like Roman Reigns he made a little bit mistake with him with the Royal Rumble, but then he had a decent match at WrestleMania, and since WrestleMania he's not really been that involved in the title picture that much. He's been involved in a few Fatal 4-Way matches, but he's not been in the main card picture, and he's kind of paying his dues and working the mid card a bit. And I don't get why people are still booing him. It's just kind of comes across as petty, I guess. Another loss for Bray Wyatt. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to go on for. I admit Bray Wyatt's character is new. It's refreshing for the time. It's something different, but you can't just have him keep losing at Big Four pay-per-views. It's just ridiculous. People are just going to get fed up of it. No one believes him as a big dominant character. That his heel promos suggest that he is that kind of come in and take no names and kick ass, but he's just not being portrayed as that in the matches. Always has to have either some kind of outside interference for him to win, or he loses clean and nothing comes from it. I've seen that they've added someone new into the Wyatt family now on Raw, but I'm just not that interested really. I don't know what it is. I mean, for a while I've been thinking it's a WWE machine, liking him but not really knowing what to do with him. But it's just more and more you see it, you just think, is there something wrong with him? Is he a bit all hype? Is he going to go on to achieve great things in the company? I don't know. And I'm worried for both Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt at the moment. With the Shield and the Wyatt family, you would have thought these two would be the guys to emerge from that feud and become the big single stars. But both of them are kind of floundering at the minute, and putting them together was just a mistake from the start, because both guys need a signature win and you can't give it to both of them. So yeah, this match pissed me off. It wasn't great. Stop booing Roman Reigns and just I don't know, move on from this. Seth Rollins versus John Cena in the World Heavyweight Championship and US Championship match. This was quite low down on the card, considering it was a Big Four pay-per-view involving John Cena for two of the major titles in the company. This was kind of upper mid card really. Seth Rollins, I mean, I get that they like to have a kind of costume change at pay-per-views, but Seth Rollins looked like a weird kind of street preacher or some kind of magician's assistant in those white trousers. I didn't get it. But yeah, I mean, we knew how this match was going to go really. Seth Rollins carrying most of the match, making John Cena look good. So many kind of near falls, which is really common in Cena matches, which kind of pisses me off, to be honest. And a lot of people went in thinking that John Cena was going to come out, or if that didn't happen, then Seth Rollins was going to retain through some weird outside interference. I think people were expecting an outside interference, maybe not the outside interference that we got ultimately with Jon Stewart. But one thing I'll say, actually, just going back, I really liked the involvement of Jon Stewart. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Bob Uecker at WrestleMania 3. Just sort of, they didn't overdo it, but they just sort of get going backstage to him. The little promo speech segment he had with Heyman, where he was trying to look for Brock Lesnar. It was kind of cool. Came out and interfered in this match, and this is what everybody wanted to see. Rollins walk out as the champion and retain the two belts. I've got no problems with it. The match was all right. It was not the best John Cena match we've had this year. It's probably not the best Seth Rollins match we've had this year, but these two do seem to work reasonably well together. And yeah, Seth Rollins is going to go on. I don't know who's going to feud with next. Obviously, with Sting returning at this week's Raw, probably start a program with those two. But the way that they involve Ric Flair in Raw this week kind of suggests that John Cena is eventually going to go on to equal and then beat his record, probably by the end of the year, to be honest. So get ready for that. And then we had the Divas, I suppose, 9 women tag match. If this is the Divas Revolution, then you can keep it, to be honest. I mean, I've liked the involvement of the NXT women. I think they have revolutionised the division in a way. But, you know, a proper Divas Revolution would have been given us some different variation of this match, but then also given us just a straight up title match between Nikki and I guess Charlotte seems to be the person that they're like pushing at the moment. Charlotte or Paige, and then just have some kind of other elimination tag match, but maybe sort of 2 members from each team as opposed to 3. They threw all their eggs in one basket with the Divas at SummerSlam, and I just think, a title match would have been welcomed, spreading out these women across the card. You don't always have to shove them into one match. And Team Bad, getting eliminated so early, you could tell the crowd, wanted to see Sasha Banks. And I understand she went through, a massive match with Bayley the night before, so she kind of been in, 100% fit, but, she could have lasted longer than she did. And you could tell that the whole kind of enthusiasm for the match kind of just left as soon as Team Bad got eliminated. Team PCB got the win. I mean, this is kind of reminding me a little bit of the way Edge and Christian always seem to get the win in those triple threat ladder matches and TLC matches. Like, they don't always have to get the win, but WWE just seem to like having these 3 women on top. And I guess, it's only a matter of time before they break off from this 3-team storyline and start giving us some singles competition. Number 1 contenders maybe starting to emerge. I don't think we have a number 1 contender at the minute in the Divas division, so it's just a little bit of a clusterfuck, to be honest. But I'm not going to shit on it too much because it was a fairly decent match. But Sasha Banks should have lasted longer. I mean, she really is hot at the minute. Like, people just want to see her wrestle for obvious reasons. And then we had the semi-main event. Again, talking about the world title match being quite low on the card. I mean, this was a lot higher on the card than I expected. But I think this is an example of sometimes when the WWE just know how their audience is going to react and just doing the right thing, really. They knew that people wanted to see Kevin Owens and Cesaro a lot more than they wanted to see John Cena and Seth Rollins. This is obviously going to be a good way to get the crowd up and ready for the main event. And again, we knew this was probably going to be the match of the night, and I in my opinion, it was. Kevin Owens gets the win, which I'm fine with. He's had, a lot of defeats recently. He lost his NXT Championship, lost to John Cena. He needed something to kind of re-establish his character. I think Cesaro is popular enough at the minute that this loss won't hurt him too much. And they'll probably have a rematch at some point, which Cesaro could probably get the win. But the match was good. No problems with it at all. And a good showpiece for the two of them being so high up on the SummerSlam card. Again, decent stuff. And then we get to the main event, which was obviously what the whole show was built around, what people were looking forward to the most. One thing I'll say, and this isn't really saying a lot, but one thing I will say is that the build-up to this match has been so much better than WrestleMania 30. The match itself was so much better than WrestleMania 30. I know, it's kind of unfair saying that, seeing as Taker got a concussion early on in that match. Whereas, at SummerSlam, both of them went a good 20 minutes. And, yeah, Undertaker looked in better shape than he had been, especially at WrestleMania 30. But again, at WrestleMania 31, since then he's just obviously done a lot of training and he's, really into wrestling again, which is good to see. I don't know how I felt about the ending to this match. I was confused when it happened. I didn't know what was going on, and then they showed, Undertaker clearly sort of tapping out. I don't get what they're doing, because if they're trying to make Undertaker a heel, I hope that they know that that's not going to work. No one's going to want to boo Taker, even though Brock Lesnar is highly popular at the minute. I don't get what they're doing. If they're just kind of portraying Taker as a kind of heel, as a kind of tweener character, as like, I don't really care. My career's almost up, and Brock Lesnar beat my streak, so I'm just going to hit him in the nuts as any chance I get, really. But I like the way the match ultimately ended, because it did kind of protect Brock Lesnar, because he didn't tap out. He had to kind of endure a low blow and then a Hell's Gate. Which is kind of no shame in passing out to that. Yeah, like the middle finger that Brock gave Taker when he was in the submission hold was brilliant. And it seems to have set up something maybe for these two down the road. If they might do it at Night of Champions, but more likely something like SummerSlam. I hope this isn't a rematch at WrestleMania 32. I mean, we've seen it twice already, and there's, the only match that Taker needs to have at WrestleMania is Sting from now on, because he's lost his streak. So I hope they don't go down that road. I hope this happens somewhere before the end of the year. So yeah, really, I mean, again, this felt in many ways like a glorified version of Raw. Matches that we'd seen before, matches that we'd seen recently. Nothing really new came of it, to be honest. Seth Rollins retained his title, Ryback retained his title. I suppose we've got new tag team champions, which is fine. The Divas just seem to be going in a circle at the minute. We need some actual storylines from these girls, to be honest. And then the main event was a bit confusing, and yeah, I guess if the answer to the question, did SummerSlam live up to NXT in Brooklyn? Absolutely not. I had so much more fun watching NXT than I did SummerSlam. But not the worst SummerSlam I've ever seen. Certainly not the best. And yeah, let me know what you thought of it, to be honest. I've watched a few reviews, and most thoughts seem to be swaying on the kind of negative side of it. I don't think a lot of fans are really into this, but it is what it is. And yeah, I suppose the only problem now is that we're kind of on the downward trend this year. SummerSlam hits, and then we get that kind of lull between September, October, November, December, and then things will start picking up again in January. So just kind of ride that out, I guess. But yeah, that was my review. Let me know what you thought, and yeah, subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing and like this video. Check out my SummerSlam review series, which I've done. And I'm hopefully going to put out another video sometime today, just discussing some of my favourite SummerSlam matches. But yeah, for now, I will see you next time. Thanks.